Tryna live my life, tryna make it through the night, but it seems that I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tryna live my life right, and the moment it goes down, it's yours or mine. So I guess it's the...
Welcome to Hard Talk with Jason Hardin. I am your host, Jason Hardin, entrepreneur, publisher, writer, producer, mentor, community activist, and a few other things as well. And welcome to another episode. Good to be here. If you're listening to any of the ambient noise around, that's because we are on location. It is a beautiful day in Southern California, and it's a beautiful Friday. Of course, you know we like to put our shows out on Friday, and today is Friday. And like I said, beautiful day. Why not be outside? Why not look at the environment? Why not become inspired by life? And if you're not inspired by life, something's wrong with you. If you don't wake up happy that you woke up, some things need to change in your life. And you can't change other people or other conditions all the time, but you can always change yourself. So if you didn't wake up thinking today was a beautiful day, and I'll tell you one thing, today is the most beautiful day ever because it is the most recent day I woke up. And that's just the honest to God truth, man. Every day and the most recent day is the best day. So today should be the best day of your life. Make today the best day of your life because it actually is the best day of your life because you are here today. Whatever day you're listening to it. If you heard this podcast twice, both days are the best days of your life. So if you're listening to this again, the last day is not as good as today. So please make today the best day of your life because it is another opportunity to do all the things that you've ever wanted to accomplish and see all the things that you've ever wanted to see. So please make the most of your time on earth and in existence because life can be very short. And that brings us to our topic. Well, that doesn't actually bring us to our topic. It was pretty much an abrupt segue, but a segue nonetheless. Today we will be talking about branding and brands in general. And we're going to be talking about branding because branding deals with something that I love so much and hold so dear, and that's entrepreneurship. I cannot stress the importance of entrepreneurship. And I don't just mean that entrepreneurship is important to you and can be important for your family due to the income and life changes or whatnot, but entrepreneurship is important to others. Your entrepreneurship is important to others. Why? Because once you become an entrepreneur, you start filling needs and gaps. And that's the most important part of actually getting into business for yourself, is that you usually start feeding a need or a gap in somebody else's life. And that's why it's important to have brands. And it's important to understand that you have a brand. See, a lot of people don't know that they are already a brand. And if you don't know that, then your brand is already bad. You know, you have to know that, first of all, let's define a brand. Before we get ahead of ourselves, I like to get ahead of myself because I like to just ramble on and get to the point. But when you're trying to teach something or instruct, there's an A, B, and C method of doing things. And I'm a little more sporadic. That's why a podcast is new to me. Very interesting, especially when I don't have any guests like today. So it's kind of just me talking to myself and all of you. And since all of you aren't here in front of me, it does feel like I'm talking to myself, but that's neither here nor there. And like I said, branding. Branding is a cool thing because what it is, it's the impression you leave after you're gone or when you're seen. I guess branding could be all the words and feelings that are associated with a name or image. Now that's a rough definition because I'm not reading from a Webster's dictionary or Wikipedia or anything like that. This is in my words, and I'm pretty sure that you guys can probably define branding in your own words, but basically, just like as a brand on cattle, it's an impression. Your brand is your impression. Your brand is the impression you leave on other people. either when they first meet you to when you walk away. Like, it's the impression that they get before they meet you and the impression they have after you leave. All that is a part of your brand. And also the impression they get while you're there. And that's important. And it's important for a bunch of different reasons because, first of all, let's look at some people who built fortunes from their brands. And let's explore why brands are important and why they've actually have been able to amass a fortune from their brands. Let's look at Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan. He has like one of the most popular brands on the planet. So popular that he has such a tight control over it as well. Like, I hope I don't get sued by even talking about Michael Jordan, because he will sue the shit out of you if you misrepresent his brand or misuse it in any way. And I've seen and read the story, so I'm not trying to play with the brother legally because, man, I ain't got the money to lose. But let's explore his brand for a minute. What is actually his brand? What's his logo? Can anybody say his logo? And off the top, everybody's gonna say it, the Jumpman symbol. And for those that don't know, and I don't know who that would be, but the Jumpman symbol is an image or basically a silhouette of one of his iconic dunks. So that's the Jumpman symbol. Somebody took a picture of his iconic dunk, they made it into a silhouette, and it is the most famous image you will see on a piece of footwear or a piece of athletic wear today. It is one of the most priciest, I'll tell you that, because first of all, because I don't even own a pair of Jordans right now. I can't afford Jordans. I don't think I've ever been to afford Jordans, and even though now I can pay for Jordans, I still can't afford them. And there's a difference. You know, just because you can pay for something doesn't mean you can always afford it. And I can pay for a lot of pairs of Jordans, but I can't afford to buy not near a pair of Jordans. And that's another thing. And not to knock the brother, I really think he's a genius. I really support what he does just because he started from, you know, just like where many of us start from. Just, you know, a kid with a dream. Somebody that wanted to play a sport and do something that he enjoyed. And he amassed that into, I wouldn't say a ridiculous fortune, because it's not ridiculous, but an amazing fortune. And it is because, largely because of his brand. And I'm going to tell you why. His brand outlasted his ability to even play basketball. His brand outlasted his even time to go play basketball. His brand is at work while he sleeps. And that's what the importance of a brand is. And let's say that, let's discuss why. Again, why a brand is important. And like I said, Michael Jordan is an important one. But let's go to somebody that's not like Michael Jordan, but has a very powerful brand. And I want to bring him up because, like I said, I want to explain the importance of brands, and to really explore the importance of a brand, you need some examples of some good ones, and then we'll get into why they're important and how those have been so successful. Another amazing brand, and I say it's amazing because I was a fan, and I still am to a certain degree. I might be ashamed to say that, but I'd also be ashamed to say I buy $200 shoes if I like Jordan, so we all have our quirks. But Pee Wee Herman. For those of you who don't know, his name is Paul Rubin, but his stage name and his more popular name is Pee Wee Herman. And people wonder, like, Pee Wee, how do you compare Pee Wee to Jordan? And I guess the reason why you can compare Pee Wee to Jordan is because when Pee Wee puts on his costume and becomes Pee Wee, he makes money. And for those that don't know, Pee Wee came out in, I don't know what, 80s, early 80s. And he went out in like the early 90s. But to this day, he makes millions being Pee Wee after a lot of things. He had a lot of controversy. Pee Wee was caught jacking off in a X-rated theater in public in the height of his career. Let that sink in. No, I said that right. Pee Wee was caught jacking off in a public theater in the height of his career. I don't even know how you get caught. Man, motherfuckers don't get caught at home jacking off with a house full of people. So I don't know how you be outside somewhere doing that. Anyway, that's beside the point. The point I'm trying to make is that he came back from that to have a Netflix film and a Broadway hit show. Why? Because his brand was that powerful. His brand is more powerful. Jordan's brand is more powerful than him. Now, how did they make their brands powerful? Of course, it comes from what you put into it. They're good at what they do. Pee Wee Herman was funny. Michael Jordan was a great ball player. And that is the beginning of it. But that doesn't make the entire brand a great brand. It also takes, a brand is almost like a baby. You know, it needs nurturing, it needs food, it needs guidance, it needs care, it needs being looked after, it needs being taken care of, it needs being watched. You know, sometimes your brand will run out in the street and get hit by a car and you fucked up your brand. You know, there's things that happen to diminish or add value to your brand, so you have to kind of watch what you're doing. And when raising or creating a brand, just like when raising or creating a child or a person or a dog or anything else that you're trying to raise and create to make successful or self-sustaining at the very least, you know? So that's why I'm talking about brands today, because they're so powerful, and I want everyone to understand that if you're trying to be successful in whatever you do, and I don't mean just entrepreneurship, I don't care if you're a doctor, a lawyer, a mechanic, a person that makes sandwiches, a person that plumbs. Now, plumbers, you know, but plumbers, you know, you can plumb, right? Plumbers actually plumb. So anyway, that's how I think. Weird shit. Anyway, but no matter who you are, what your profession is, your brand is important. Your brand is really important. And whether you believe you have a brand or not doesn't even matter, because you have one. Even if you don't own a business, even if you're just a student, or if you're just a nephew, or if you're just, you know, Joe Schmo walking down the street trying to mind your own business, you have a brand. And depending on what you want to do in life, or depending on what you want to get out of life and make happen in life, a lot of that depends on what you can do with your brand. Because the more powerful your brand is, the more highly regarded people think of you, the more positive impression you leave on people, the more opportunities you'll have in life, the more things you'll learn and understand and be able to be exposed to, because people gravitate to you, because people want to give you something, because people want you to have an opportunity. They want the opportunity to be with you. They want the opportunity to associate whatever successful thing they have going on with you. And that's where Jordan made his money. And that's where Pee Wee Herman made his money. Not because they were just awesome at what they did, but their brands represented that. And people that wanted to represent themselves as awesome are going to hang out and kick it with other brands that are awesome. Just like the friends we have. If your friends ain't shit and you keep kicking it with those friends that ain't shit, you know what you are? Not shit. Or you're on your way to not be shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's just how brands work. For brands to be successful and look successful and thrive and make money, they're going to hang out with other successful brands. They're going to associate themselves with other successful brands. And to do that, they pay those successful brands. Jordan gets paid to be seen in commercials and on stage and in photos with other people. He gets paid to speak at graduations and meetings and conferences because of his brand. He gets paid. not because of him and what he knows, but because of what he's accomplished and how strong his brand is. And I say that because it doesn't even matter what he say. If you pay Jordan to speak at your high school, believe me, it really doesn't matter what he says. He could go in that high school, get at that podium, and just say, thank y'all for coming out, God bless you, good night. And kids will go nuts, and they'll be inspired, and they'll say, Jordan was at my school, and they'll take pictures, and they'll Instagram it and social media that, you know, and they'll be just as excited and happy. Why? Because of his brand. Not because of what he said. That's how powerful a brand is. Your brand outshines your personal mistakes. You know what I'm saying? Your brand, what you can deliver through your brand, supersedes what you can even deliver in person. What people think of you, sadly, is more important than what you can actually accomplish or do, or what you actually mean, or what your value actually is. Of course, that doesn't make it right, but it's true. And you have to know how to use that psychology or phenomenon to your advantage. And that's what brand management is. So if you didn't know what branding is, you're going to have to understand what brand management is, because there's a whole management industry around brands. There's companies, multi-million-dollar companies, whose only objective is to manage brands. Manage how people think of other people and businesses. And I say that to reiterate how important a positive brand is and how much you can accomplish with it, and how to apply the techniques and all the good things that a major brand benefits from and does to your own life and your own personal brand. And just like a powerful business can have certain opportunities handed to them, can get certain good graces that others can get certain access that others can get certain press or reviews that others can't. That comes from the brand. And I want others to basically capitalize off it, because that's what it's about. I want you to capitalize off it. I wouldn't be talking about any of this shit if I didn't want you to make money or build off what I was saying in some way, shape, or form. Now, I might ramble on, I might get lost, but always know that in all that I'm saying or in all that I'm talking about, I'm trying to leave you with something that you can use and apply towards your own success or betterment. That's the only reason why I'm here. I might promote some services I have, I might promote other products and things that don't necessarily coincide with self-improvement directly, but that's all it's about. Because every dollar I make from anything that I sell of mine or of someone else's goes towards spreading game, wisdom, success, knowledge, and replicating all the positive things that I personally have gotten into. And hoping that someone else can take anything that I have tried to do positive to the next level. Just like Tupac said back in the days, he said he didn't want to change the world. That would be selfish. He wanted to spark the mind to change the world. You know, and that's what I want to do. I want to help spark the mind that eventually creates some type of change. If I haven't done that already. Because I know, just like somebody taught me, I want to teach the next person. And I think that's what my personal brand has always been. Now let's talk about brands, and let's talk about my personal brand. And If I could describe my brand in one word, I would say resilient. You want people to describe you in one word or one and two words. That's the power of a brand. You want people. Oh, we have a message. We have a message. We're going to check into that later. We do have a message. We have callers and stuff. If you want to leave a comment, or if you want to text us, if you want to leave a message, voicemail, something, call us at 636-336-2624. That's 636-336-2624. You can leave a message. You can text us. You can tell us what you want to hear. You can tell us what you don't like. I don't give a shit what you don't like, but you can tell us anyway. And then maybe I'll still learn why you don't like it. Because like I said, I do love to learn. And I do love to better myself at all times. So if something you says, even if it's some hating ass shit, that I can apply to better myself in some way, I will. Probably won't let you know if it's some hating ass shit. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna give you that satisfaction just because you're a hater. That's a bad attitude to be rewarded for. But in the end, I do accept all feedback. I do try to read and go through every piece of fan mail, every piece of text message, every piece of information that I do receive on email or whatnot. And I do try to get back at everybody. Because I do think that if whatever I said was important enough to write about, you're important enough to be responded to. And which is, I guess, another aspect of my brand. And that's how I carry myself, which also brings me back to the power of the brand, is that when you have a superior brand and you represent it a certain way, you begin to carry yourself a certain way. And why is all this important? Why is all this important? It's important because when you are competing in life, and we are always competing in life, it doesn't matter if it's for a job, for a spot in the band, for a position on the team. We are always competing in life for something. And when you are competing in life, your brand is just about the only thing to separate you from someone that can do what you do better than you. Do you understand that? Your brand can separate you from someone that does what you do better than you and allow you to come out on top. Why is that? Couple things. Let's say your brand is, when people think of you, oh, they know, oh man, he loves to learn, man. He has a great attitude, very positive, easy to work with. And then the person you're competing with is just straight, raw talent and gifted and can do everything that you can, but he's an asshole. Nobody likes to work with him, can't take any criticism. Yet his artwork or his skills just far outweigh yours. Now, though his skills are superior, do you think a lot of people would choose him over you? Do you think people want to go to work with somebody they can't stand just to get something done, other than go to work with somebody they enjoy and work on something together and make something, decent? Some would take the asshole. There's total industries, there's whole markets and whole industries that hire assholes. I believe it. I mean, LAPD, Sheriff's Department, I'm just saying. You gotta have a level of assholism to be that way to people, to rough and manhandle folks. You know what I'm saying? So I think you have to be a certain amount of asshole to do jobs like that. Or meter maid. I don't know. I don't have anything against meter men or meter maids, but I would think that you might have to be a certain level of asshole to give a ticket in somebody's face. That ain't easy to do. So, yeah. But that's what I'm saying. That's the brand they look for when looking for certain jobs, and that's okay. Like I said, man, not everybody's brand has to be the same to be valuable. Because some people that are assholes, you have asshole brands that want to connect themselves with other asshole brands. You have badass brands that want to connect themselves with other badasses. You have good boy brands or goody two-shoe brands that want to connect themselves with goody two-shoes. You know? So it's like there's a market for everybody, but the point is, in all of that, is knowing what your brand is. Knowing that market. And to know your brand and to know your market, you have to know yourself. And I think that's very important. To know yourself means that you can succeed in a lot of things. Knowing yourself is even bigger than the brand discussion. We're going to have a whole podcast about knowing thyself. Knowing thyself. Man, that's the most, I think the most important piece or most powerful piece of knowledge you could have in life is to know yourself. And to know yourself, all you need is you. You don't need a book. You don't need a podcast. You don't need self-help. You don't need therapy. You really just need you. Now, to get deeper into it, if you're having trouble getting to know yourself, by all means seek help. You know, and not in a bad way. I don't want to put no stigma on therapy or counseling, because that's all positive shit. And it's positive because what you want to eventually get from those programs or from those sessions is the ability to know yourself. Because all psychiatry is, all therapy is, and all counseling is just giving you, the goal of it is just to give you the ability to identify what you're feeling. They don't ask you questions about other people. They ask you questions about how you feel about whatever the hell they're talking about. Because they want to know about you. It's all about you. You don't go to therapy to talk about them. You might want to, you might try to, you might talk about, that might be part of your problem, that you worry about everybody else and not yourself. But the point is, in that whole discussion, is to identify and learn about yourself. That's all therapy is. That's all anger management is. That's all counseling is. That's all that stuff really does, is to help you identify your own feelings and how to manage them properly or express them in a manner that's not harmful to you or someone else. So don't ever knock therapy. Don't ever knock counseling. Don't ever knock telling somebody about your problems. Don't ever knock talking to someone, because all that stuff helps. Telling your story, I say it all the time, telling your story is such a valuable thing. Telling your story is one of the most important things you could ever do. And to a certain degree, you want that to be part of your brand. Your brand really, in the end, should sum up your story. Your brand should be the end game to what you've been through and what you've accomplished. You want people to see, when they see your name or when they see your face or when they see your signature, you want them to believe that, man, that person is great. That person is good. That person is powerful. That person is smart. That person is talented. You want people to associate positive words with your name, face, and image. That's branding. And that's important, because the more people think positivity and things like that about you, then the further you're going to go, the further you can take your dreams and what you want to do. And you have to be confident in that. And that's what your brand does. Your brand gives you confidence when you don't. When you don't feel like speaking in front of that room, but everybody's already clapping because they know you're going to nail it. At least they think you are. And I'm going to tell you, once you see and feel that energy, sometimes you just nail that shit just because somebody already had a pre-notion that you were going to do great. And they got that from you. They whatever you did before gave people in the audience the idea that you're going to nail this just like you nailed the last thing you did, or whatever you do. But that's what branding does. Attach yourself to the success and the achievements and all the great things that you believe in and that you want to be. Because in the end, man, our brands are all we're left with when we're gone. Our brands are what we leave the earth. Our brands is what we leave behind. No matter how much money or how little money or how much property or how little property or belongings we leave behind, our brand is the ultimate memory of us. It's the memory of us. And I want to talk about this because I want people to understand that they do have power. Everybody listening to this podcast right now has power. And I mean unbelievable power. Unbelievable power. Helps you unlock and unleash that great power unto the world. I want to aid, I want to help, I want to assist, I want to contribute to. And if that's teaching you what branding is, if that's teaching you what your name means, or what your face means, or what your thought means to the next person, what the next person thinks of when they think about you, if that means learning all about that, I want to give that to you. I want you to learn that it's important in your path towards success for people to think positively of you. They say, oh, it doesn't matter what people think of you. Bullshit. Image is nothing. Bullshit. Stay on your game. Stay on point. Carry yourself with class, dignity, respect, and attach your brand and your name to anything and everything positive that is in you. And anything that you do not want associated with your brand, do not associate that with you. You understand that? If you want your brand to be associated with nothing but positivity, associate yourself with nothing but positivity. And as soon as negativity start to get even close to you or your brand, shake it off. Shake it off. Seriously, because the only thing more important than branding is I don't know. When it comes to business, entrepreneurship, making the most out of life, I don't know. I read something that Steve Jobs said. And it was something about his last dollar. Would he spend it on food or PR? For those who don't know, PR is public relations. And those who really don't know, public relations is just another word for branding and brand management. And basically, it was about, would you spend your last $20 or your last $5 or your last dollar on a hamburger or a PR? And he said he would spend it on PR. Steve Jobs said he would spend his last dollar on what people thought of him and his business, or basically his company, his brand, before he fed himself. And you know why? Because his brand will feed him, his children, his family, and his legacy long after that hamburger feeds his starving appetite. And that's how you have to look at your brand. Before posting something stupid on the internet about yourself, or something inappropriate, or something that is ignorant, think about how that represents you, how that represents your brand, how that affects an opportunity down the line that you might want or look for. Think about that, how that affects somebody whose interest you want. You might like a girl who's very intelligent, very smart, very conscious. You post some dumb shit on your page, and it's public, she might not even tell you why she not fucking with you. Just like a job. When a job don't want to fuck with you, they don't tell you all the time. why they not fucking with you. They saw a couple misspelled words on your resume. They looked up your Facebook page, your Instagram. They tested your urine. It might have been dirty. It doesn't matter. They don't have to tell you what they don't like about you when they don't want to mess with you. And that's what life is. People don't always have to tell you what they don't like about you. And they don't always have to care about you. Caring about you is optional. Branding tries to control that. Branding tries to get people to care about you when they don't have to. That's all branding is. Branding separates you from something that might even be more important. Because your brand is so strong, people think, oh, that shit is like water. We need that. Some people like Macs. I can't stand Macs. I can't stand Macs, Apples, iPhones. For everybody out there, I never had an iPhone. Don't like iPhones. Probably would never get one. I was thinking about one a little while ago when I was thinking about shooting a movie with a phone, but now, no, anything that iPhone can do, Galaxy can do better. Or Androids can do better, I should say, because I'm not even necessarily a fan of all Galaxy phones. I don't know about you guys, but I buy the cheapest, best phone I can find. The cheapest, best. You know, I'm not super cheap, man. I don't want nothing that I can't use in my day-to-day, but I'm not about price. I'm about value. Those are the brands that I look for. Let that be the brand that you represent. Represent value. Represent truth. Represent superiority. Represent strength. And know that that's what you're trying to do. Do it knowingly. Represent yourself knowingly. Look yourself in the mirror. And I don't mean just a physical mirror. It could be a wall. It could be up in space, just looking dazed out. You know what I'm saying? Just drifting off. It looks like you're just daydreaming. But look somewhere and reflect on who you are and what you like and don't like about yourself. And you'll learn what you like and don't like about the brand that you want to create. And you'll start forming a more positive one. And like I said, the more positive your brand, the more positive your attitude, the more positive people see you. If people see you in a better light, the better your chances at accomplishing whatever you're trying to accomplish. Seriously. Seriously, because you don't want to leave who you are up for interpretation. You don't want to be lost in translation. You don't want somebody to tell your story. It's your story. You want to represent yourself. So do it knowingly. Do it knowingly. Do it purposely. And do it intentionally. And I know all those are the same, but that's called emphasis. I want to make it straight that you understand that you control. I'm not going to say you control what people think of you, because you don't. But you have the first say-so in what people think of you. You do. And you have that by putting that image and that brand out there. Your brand is under your control. What people want to make of it, what people want to say about it, what people want to talk about it, that's always going to be up to them. And you're never going to please everybody, and you never should feel like you have to. You should feel like you're being true to you. Your brand should be true to you and represent all the things that you want to represent to people. Now, people don't recognize that value, or people don't see that. That's up to them. They might have an issue with themselves and their brands that don't allow them to recognize certain things. That's not your problem. Your problem is how true you are to you and how well you want to represent that to others. Now, we're going to get out of here soon. I don't want to keep everybody. I don't want to hold up my day for too long, because I don't have a lot to cover today. There's so much to cover, but today I wanted to leave you with that. Something just came up in my head, and I totally disregarded the episode that I wanted to do with you guys today, because I do feel that branding is an issue It was actually a story that came up with a mentee. And I was telling him about branding. And, you know, he's about like 15 years old or so. And he didn't really see the importance of it. And I wanted to let him know, just like I wanted to let you know, branding starts as soon as you start. Own brands. If you don't know, man, look at Webster. Remember, everybody knew his brand. He had, man, Gary Coleman. Man, there's a lot of children out there who have solidified their brands. Macaulay Culkin. You know, a couple of them, but they solidified their brands in the minds of others at an early age. And that's all of us. From an early age, at any point, man, we can start creating our brands, we can start creating our businesses, we can start creating our opportunities. So it's never too early to get this. And that's why I'm telling you this, because I was trying to tell him that it's never too early to work on your brand. It's never too early to improve the impressions that you leave on others. All right? So anyway, I just wanted to leave you with that little bit of positive information. Like I said, there's so much I wanted to cover today. Regarding a couple other things, particularly income-based, basically sources of income. And I always, like I said, everything goes back to entrepreneurship. We can talk about social justice, we can talk about racism, we can talk about education, but it all comes down to money when you're living in America. It all comes down to capitalism. It all comes down to entrepreneurship. It all comes down to creating opportunities for yourself and overcoming all the other issues in social justice and racism and sexism and inequality and oppression. All those are issues that we're still going to have to deal with after we be able to take care of our own needs and our families and survive. So entrepreneurship to me is always my go-to. It's always what I want to talk about. It's always important. It's always relevant. It's always needs to be expressed. It needs to be taught. It needs to be learned. You know, I believe that entrepreneurship should be a subject in school from kindergarten through elementary to junior high on to high school, because like I said, the more we can create for ourselves, the less we'll ask for, the less we'll need, the less we'll beg for, the less we'll expect from someone else. So that being said, man, I want everybody to stay positive. I want everybody to stay on top. I want everybody to keep their brands in mind. Keep in mind the impressions you're leaving on others. Keep in mind the energy you're putting out there in the world. Keep in mind what your name means when somebody says it to somebody else and you're not around. Keep in mind the words that people associate with you when your name or when your image is thought up. You know? And not because you want people to like you, not because you want to be more popular, and not because not even because you want to make more money, but because the overall opportunity, the overall good graces, the overall karma is better for you when you keep your brand in mind, when you keep your image, your personal image, your personal stock in mind. Because like I said, you can have broke pockets, but if you have a valuable brand, then pockets won't stay empty for long. That's my final word. Like I said, continue to listen every Friday. Hard Talk with Jason Hardin. Produced by Hardware Enterprise. Please leave us a comment, a message. Scroll down, scroll up, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button. Catch us on Spotify, catch us on YouTube. Follow me on Instagram at hardwarehardin.com. As always, this episode is brought to you by Hardware Apparel, Made in Dina. What else we have out there? The Beat Fam Studios, S-Class Productions, and there's a lot of other stuff. I don't want to get into everybody. I don't want to forget anybody else. So I don't want to make the list long enough to where people thought you forgot about them. You know, if you say 3, people ain't going to get mad. But if you say like 7, motherfuckers be like, damn, I wasn't in your top 7. You know what I'm saying? So, so I'm going to leave it at that. Maiden Dina, Beat Fam Studios, S-Class Productions, Hardway Enterprise. Much love to everybody listening. Stay positive, stay active, stay woke, and stay up. Peace.
The wrong place at the wrong time. Tryna live my life, tryna make it through the night. But it seems that I'm always in the wrong place at the wrong time. Tryna live my life right, and the moment it goes